Hi, so like a lot of people in the gacha space, I've recently been playing a lot of Zenless Zone Zero, which I've been enjoying a lot. The thing I've been enjoying the most is the very lived in feel of the world, and also the fact that there's incentives to go around the world every single day, like getting the coffee or doing the newsstand lottery ticket thing. The combat is nice for me too, which is a controversial statement because that's what a lot of people are discussing. A lot of people are saying the game is bad because the combat is too easy or it feels like the system has no depth to it. A lot of people are also complaining about the TV segments in the story. They rather just explore and do the things in the game itself rather than going to a separate screen. And I'm not here to say that you're wrong. In fact, the whole reason this video is birthed is because I don't think there's a right or wrong in this. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and games are subjective, and you should just enjoy what you like or not enjoy what you don't like. And feel free to post comments and feel free to like comments of people that fall in line with your mindset, right? But the bottom line is, if you're not in the know, a lot of people, especially on the YouTube side, are calling this game not necessarily just bad, but mid, very underwhelming. And I don't know how much that has to do with expectations, like expecting a very, very combat focused game, or people just don't like Hoyoverse, which I didn't think was that big of a thing. Like, surely just because you don't like Genshin and by extension Hoyoverse, you won't go into their new game with hate mentality. But I think there's a bit of truth there now, unfortunately, after seeing a lot of the comments from a lot of like the content creator reviews on YouTube. Some people online are trying to explain why Zenless Zone Zero is getting such a bad rep, and that is like the game is a niche game targeted to a more niche audience. This game really is a action role-playing game. Literally, it's not a role-playing action game because instead of like story and gameplay, which most gachas are, it's split into story and gameplay. But within the gameplay itself, there's the actual combat gameplay and there's also TV gameplay, which a lot of people do not want to consider gameplay. Although I have a whole thing about that where like everything in a game is gameplay, like technically speaking, even like walking in a game is gameplay because you're playing the game. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's not gameplay. Anyway, I'm not here to argue TVs. This game is definitely more to do with story and immersing yourself in the world. It reminds me of games like my time in Portia and Stardew Valley, where you really get to know a local community, fall in love with the local NPCs. That's why I feel like they have such good designs, is because you're meant to immerse yourself in the world. And that's not even to say that the combat is irrelevant, because once you finish the story, well, the repeatable content is to do with combat. There's a roguelike mode and there's like the harder endgame combat mode. So the story complaints are really only for people who play like the first 10 hours or so, maybe, or more, depending on how fast you play through a story or even if you skip through the story or not. And when I say story, I don't just mean narrative. I mean story as in like the story part of the game. So that includes a narrative, but more importantly, I would say the presentation and execution of it. I really like Zenless Zone Zero's storybook style, and I think it's very stylized and nice and easy to digest. Because at the end of the day, I want to shift this discussion into the fact that games are art. And this might sound pretentious or whatever, but if you consider anime art, not even anime, just still frames of drawings which make up anime art, well, then this game is that, but so much more. There's the combat mechanics, there is the animations, the fluidity of the actual combat animations, the story, and how it all melts together. Even the UI is art, the whole experience, right? From a like technical like amount of different fields of artistry required. Video games is probably one of the most artistic mediums. And it's crazy that in traditional art, we have this long established mindset of, well, things are subjective. You can like whatever art you like. And sure, there might be people who debate with you, but generally those people are seen as snobbish, elitist, gatekeeping, or just like stuck up and like people who just don't want other people to enjoy what they like, and why is it your business, that kind of thing. And I think in video games it's generally fine, but it's just this particular game, Zenless Zone Zero. I think there are a few factors, but it's like genuinely the most divided or the most like polarizing I've seen the community ever. Sure, I get that after the whole tree pull incident in Genshin and all the drama surrounding Genshin, that people have harbored like dissatisfaction. We could go into this more, but like all of these like haters probably played Genshin and quit because Genshin is not feeding their addiction enough with endgame playable content, and they want to main Genshin, but they can't. Not to put down any of those people, I say those people, but I was one of them. I really, really wanted endgame for a long time and was vocally frustrated for a large portion of my Genshin playing experience once I hit the endgame. So I get that, but I don't personally feel betrayed on an emotional level. Whereas reading some of these comments, I feel like they probably do. Anyway, people don't like Genshin and Hoyoverse. I guess with popularity comes a lot of haters as well. But then Wuthering Waves came along, and then everyone, it seems, that didn't like Genshin had an outlet to fight Genshin with. You could back Wuthering Waves and in turn be like, yeah, fuck you, Genshin, you piece of trash game. Greedy Hoyoverse, greedy company, bad company. Look at Wuthering Waves giving us so many free pulls to feed my dopamine addiction. It's great. And for the most part, I think the dust has somewhat settled since Wuthering Waves release. People who like Genshin are playing Genshin, people who like Wuthering Waves are playing Wuthering Waves. Even though there's still like scuffles here and there, and it's just inevitable now, but it kind of settled down. However, when Zenless Zone Zero was introduced, now there's a new competitor, a new thing to prove that, well, Wuthering Waves is still better. So that's where a lot of these hate, I feel like, comes from. Yo, and don't take it from me. Take it from these comments themselves, which I feel are a good representation of what I'm seeing. And these reflect the more emotionally charged criticism. I like the fact that Wuthering Waves makes Zenless Zone Zero look bad. Agree WoWa over HSR over ZZZ/Genshin. ZZZ is an okay game. Anyways, Yinlin and Changli clears all ZZZ characters no diff. Yeah, just like how Iron Man and Thanos clear the whole DC universe. What does that even mean? And finally, 8.5 out of 10 is really cope. I wonder what these guys would say if a different company than Hoyo made it. And this one is perfect because I have a feeling if some unknown indie company released Zenless Zone Zero exactly the way it is, exactly the way they did it, how it looks, everything the same, we'll be talking very, very differently about it. Like if there was just no Hoyoverse name on it, I feel like a lot of discussion won't be, well, Wuthering Waves is better, and comparing it to Wuthering Waves, Genshin Star Rail. This is just crazy to me. Like, I view games like I view other forms of entertainment. At the end of the day, games are things that we use to fill our free time with. We won't die without them. So this is akin to me like something from last year, comparing Oppenheimer to Barbie and being like, well, Barbie is way worse because it's like not as serious. There's like no cool explosion and all they do is dance and sing. Where's my serious drama and dialogue? What the hell? I came here to have a cinema experience, and cinema is about drama. It feels like a lot of people, they're saying easy game equals bad game, story focused equals bad game. While the story has too much story in it, that's bad. It's just preference, no? I feel like as a community, can't we mature a bit? And I feel like we are more mature than this. It is just a lot of the vocal minority that are supercharged. Honestly, just the tree pull thing, and it snowballed into Wuthering Waves, and now they have to defend Wuthering Waves, etc., etc. If you're still not convinced that that's the main reason why a lot of this hate is being said, I think these comments say more about the people who like and comment these things in the first place than the actual content creators. Because take in mind, these comments that I'm getting are from like Mr. Pokey, Asmongold, Tectone, like their reviews of Zenless Zone Zero. And to me at least, Mr. Pokey and Tectone gave fair reviews stating the pros and cons of the game. They analyzed each part of the game and then gave their thoughts on it. Heck, even Tectone gave the game like a 6 or a 6.5, which is by no means like a crazy like positive score, right? And then we get comments like this. I love how Tectone is one of ZZZ's biggest defenders as of this moment. And that's saying something. Okay, I'm no Tectone expert, but to me this is one of Tectone's more like nuanced takes. And the fact that this is called defending, I think just reflects on how at least the commenter or the people who liked this comment are going in with the clear intent of attacking Zenless Zone Zero. And what does Tectone being one of the biggest defenders have to do with anything? What does Tectone have to do with anything? Okay, sure, he's very vocal about not liking Genshin. But how does that connect? Not liking Genshin, does that mean he's automatically less inclined to like games by Hoyo? I think you're just projecting here, no? And if you're like, well, Hoyo is a really scummy company, very greedy company. Okay, whatever. But do you apply the same logic to the movies you watch? Do you know some of the shit some of the executives do in some of the big-ass movie studios that probably made some of your favorite movies? It's really just overhyped. Content creators have a lot to do with it as well. If a content creator has to tell you how to enjoy a game, then the devs failed. It should be fun for what it is, not some arbitrary reason that you have to ask others validation for. Well, I may as well cover this comment because I'm about to be called a massive Hoyoverse shill anyway, because you can't state your opinion on the internet without siding with one faction or another. It's really like we're back to the caveman tribalism days. Yay. And that was once again from the Tectone video, where he did not say you should enjoy the game this way, the game is meant to be enjoyed this way, like it's some fine dining restaurant and they're telling you like what order to use your forks in. I think just us as a culture, I'm off the tangent a bit now, we like to look for validation online nowadays. It's very easy to have echo chambers just to listen to what you like to hear, and we get a lot of that from content creators. And so I think especially for Tectone's community that is used to having their opinions about Genshin being shit validated, and by extension Hoyo being bad also validated, seeing Tectone having a relatively neutral take on a game like Zenless Zone Zero by the same company is an insult. It is, well, this is not what I expected to hear, and therefore there must be a big reason. I can't find a specific comment, but I remember seeing one that was like, I think the only reason Tectone is saying this game is good is because he wants that Hoyoverse money for the future. Yeah, like, you see what I mean now, right? A lot of this hate is just very childish, very copy. The fact that we see people liking a game and the first thing that we think is, oh, they must have some 5-hit elaborate strategy to, after completely ruining their chances with the company, get back their trust. Instead of the more common sense thing, which is like, oh, they like the game. Yeah, they probably like the game. Not hard to see why. There's anime girls, there's nice graphics, music's banging. But nah, he doesn't like it. Why would he like it? In fact, he's the guy who doesn't like Genshin. Why would he like Zenless Zone Zero? I don't get it. This doesn't make sense. Anyway, I yapped on for a bit. This was meant to be a shorter video, but here we are. I think it's okay to think the game is bad, but to think that anyone else that likes it is coping and to actively go after them saying they're coping and they're wrong is just you yourself coping. I know this video probably won't change anyone's mind, make any difference, but yeah, I just had to get my thoughts out and remind everyone that you can play whatever game you want, you can play games from multiple companies, you're not committing a sin. And you don't have to form your whole identity around what company you think is better than another company. And if anything, I just hope that we can start seeing gacha games as art and realize that it's all subjective. View it like you would view a movie. And talk about it like you talk about movies. Stop being cringe. The companies don't really care for us down to an individual level, per se, although I don't think that they're actively trying to hurt us at an individual level as well. But I'm saying just take care of yourself. And if you don't want to, that's fine too, because this is my opinion and you do whatever you want. If whatever I said triggered you on a deeply emotional level, feel free to head over to my Twitch, where you can vent your frustrations in real time. Also, if you just like what I said and want to hang out, I stream most days on Twitch. Links in the description. I will see you. Much love, take care. Peace. Bye bye. Bye. Boom.